Hang on, guys. Wait, where am I? Hang on, guys. Oh my God, what the hell's going on?
I
I
don't
can't even
know.
see
What is wrong with
myself.
your computer?
What is going on? Anyways, I you can tell, but guys, there's a black screen. Um, I have no idea why it's doing this to me. That's so weird. Okay.
I'm good.
Well, anyways, welcome to the show, guys. Anyways, as I'm trying to fix this, my name is Anthony Bianis, Mission to our podcast, and with me this morning is none other than Greg Dietz. Which, Greg, you're
Hey
fine.
guys.
So hang on, I'm putting some music on because I always have to. There we go.
They can see me, but they can't see you, huh?
Yeah, I am just complete blackness.
Oh,
I don't know. There's some magic happening this morning.
shit, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got
Disneyland is run off of, the Disneyland wouldn't be around. I'll say that much.
yeah. So anyways, we got some topics for this morning. So let's see. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. So I think we should start off with. Let's go off the blessed rumor I saw yesterday in terms of Microsoft. So, let's see if I can pop this up here. So Microsoft is, they are, what's the word they're looking for? They have been secretly, I guess the rumors are saying that they are trying to get the property Silent Hills from Konami and outright buying them out. The rights and everything associated with it. And this is a rumor, but it popped up, I think, yesterday. And this would be one hell of a move on Microsoft's part if they do end up getting the property of Silent Hill, the IP. So if it's true, that'd be cool. It'd be great. I think it'd be great PR for them as well. I think that in this situation, I think it's a win-win for Microsoft. I don't think there's any bad side to it. I think the only bad side is like the question whether it be run by either be run by Kojima in Del Toro, like originally planned, or it could be run by another team that Microsoft they might put together. So yeah, it's nuts, but it's exciting at the same time. I kind of want to see this happen. Actually, I won't play the game because it'll scare the crap out of me. But yeah, it will happen. So, yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. You're just like now,
Okay, because occasionally it sounds like your voice is being strung through a piano, and I don't know why, so I moved a little bit closer to where my modem is in my house, so hopefully that, or not modem, but router is, so hopefully that fixes the issue.
Right.
Hopefully I don't sound that way. But,
Nah, you're fine.
Okay, good. As far as my opinions go on the situation, I think that would be a big move, but there would be a lot of people who would be upset about it. Primarily due to the fact that Silent Hills has always been a PlayStation title. And like I there's a lot of people out there that still refuse to buy an Xbox, and I don't know that they will if Silent Hills is on there. I think it's very smart of Microsoft to do it because it's those people that don't want to buy an Xbox because of it.
Mm-hmm.
They're outnumbered by people who will buy an Xbox because it's if it's true, I think that's great. I don't know how Microsoft overtalked Sony about it,
Right.
why it's specifically, because as far as I know, Konami canceled it, not the other way around. It wasn't because of Sony that it got canceled or whatever. Unless there's this thing where Microsoft went and grabbed Kojima and they're going to be producing a horror game similar to Silent Hills, with Norman Reedus and like the entire like it's almost the exact same thing except it's going to go under a different title. If that's the thing, then that's cool. But like it just doesn't. There's something about it that doesn't quite make sense. That why it would need to be an exclusive to Microsoft. You know,
Something's
not adding up here.
My reason for it. Oh, hey, we got graphics now. Cool. The reason for it is that, at least in my opinion, is that exclusives. It's all about exclusives right now, and in a time where there aren't that many incentives to have a next-gen console, anything that gives one console leverage more than the other, I think they're all gun-ho for. I think landing Kojima.
Right? No,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I understand that. I completely get that. Like that's a reason to do this, and that would be a smart move. I'm just saying, like, the reason that Silent Hills was canceled was not because of Sony. It was because of Konami.
Right.
Why? What happened to where it would need, where Microsoft would for some reason need to swoop in? Like that doesn't. There's something that's not adding up there. You get my point? Like, if it was a situation where all of a sudden we were like, well, the reason that Silent Hills got canceled was because of Sony and Konami not coming to a deal or some shit.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. But that's not the case here.
I understand what you're saying. I'm saying that. Well, I understand what you're saying. What Microsoft's thinking right now is that with all the bad PR and all the bad stuff that's been happening with Konami and how they are more quickly wanting to exit out of the game industry into the mobile gaming, into gambling, that's more focused in Japan, Microsoft sees this as an opportunity to, hey, let's take the IP that they're probably not going to use for a long time, maybe for like mobile stuff and nothing serious. Let's buy the IP from them and use that to use for our console for still making full-fledged games under, say, Kojima. They're in the mindset of making. They're in the mindset of I guess, quote unquote, saving the IP from where it's at right now. So the what they're trying to do is they're trying to save the IP, get on everybody's good side with PR, but also make money too as well. Because they know that.
But there's just something that doesn't add up about this. There's something fishy about the rumor. Like it almost seems like it's just a rumor and nothing more.
That is true. That is very true.
Yeah, there's just something missing that's so integral to something like this going down. And I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense to me on why it would happen, what would have caused it to happen. So I don't know. I mean, if I have missed something, if there's some information that I haven't seen, you know, and the chat, hell, if the chat knows anything, like, please let me know, because as far as I have been understood is that it's Konami's fault, and Konami is a third-party brand,
right?
And that Silent Hills wasn't ever necessarily a PlayStation exclusive, as far as I was concerned.
Right.
So if Konami is trying to, I don't know, sell the IP, or if something happened to where like Sony just said fuck off Konami, and I didn't see it happen in the news.
Okay,
like,
I see what you're saying. Konami's a third-party company. They're associated with Silent Hills. They had exclusive with them for a long time, but they're not entitled to Sony. That's why.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. Yeah. So why would Microsoft need to come in and take that IP or take exclusivity for that IP? That doesn't add up.
It's
like,
yeah. I mean, like we're going around in circles, but like I get what you're saying. Technical issues all this morning. I can't control them. Also, I got my camera back, so yay. Anyway, so I think.
Your system.
Oh man,
Jesus
I don't
Christ.
know. I think it's just. I think like Konami is just like, oh, they're talking about Silent Hill. Oh, we gotta shut them down. Yeah. Anyways, So yeah, that's kind of our thoughts on the rumor. It's all rumor, so who knows? It may be real, maybe not.
Yeah, I really do feel that it's not, but you know, I it's speculation, and I don't like I think it's fun to talk about speculation, but we certainly don't need to dwell on speculation. So
Agreed, agreed. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I cross my fingers that we don't get shut down again. Let's talk about Twitch. So Twitch,
talk about Twitch, baby. Let's
yeah.
talk about you.
So Twitch recently banned, or has said that, they will ban any adult-only rated games on their service. And this, I believe, comes on the heels of one game that's been causing a lot of controversy as of late, and that game is called Hatred. Now, Hatred is a twin-stick shooter where you go around and you kill innocent people, and you're a serial killer. And at the end of the game, you're trying to, like, just, kill as many people as you can, and also, like, destroy the city. Now, I watched this, and I think it was a Total Biscuits video on it as well. It's not that bad as terms of how they make it. It's because when I was thinking about it, it's like, what is this so different from other games that are out there? That there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of shooting.
There is a lot of violence, but I think the primary difference is that in other games where you do a lot of shooting and there's a lot of violence, it's generally justified.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent that, like, you have a plot, like there's a reason you're killing all these people. Hatred is like, oh, you're just an emo asshole with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really a plot. That's not really something most people want to play, as far as I'm concerned. And realistically, if that's something you really want to do, if that's really something that you want to play, just go fucking play GTA.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I would say, like, GTA, but also, like, in terms of just, like, gore factor, like, I've seen MKX. Like, MKX is just gorier than this. So, like, I don't...
Sure, no, I agree.
I don't quite understand why people are very upset about, in terms of the violence, in terms of the gore in this game, compared to other games I've seen.
It's substance. It's substance, man.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to.
That's true.
It's not visuals. It's all about the like who is this character? Why is he doing what he's doing?
Right.
It's simply because he's just an emo asshole with a gun. Like, that's all it comes down to.
Right.
So, yes, as there are other games that are way more violent, and more visually gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Cage fighting a guy from another realm and splitting his head in two, or punching his balls off, is actually not as bad as some emo asshole just going around and killing innocent people because he's angry at society.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that Postal gets an AO rating. It's because you're literally going, like, there's shots in that trailer where, like, the person's like, please don't kill me, and he shoots him in the head anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not, I don't want to play that. That's not fun. Why is that fun?
Right. It is context. There is definitely context in terms of how things are played out, in terms of, like, how the story is and how a person feels when they're performing that action. Which I agree. I think that people will probably be turned off, and we've seen many gaming outlets kind of voice their opinion, and I can see that reason for it. Again, I keep when I was looking at this, I keep comparing it to other games, how exactly is this compared to other games? Like, what's so different? Because I can think of, like, Uncharted, like any of the games.
Well, you're only comparing. First off, you have to think of it this way. You are comparing in terms of visuals. You're not comparing in terms of context, and that's why this game gets an AO rating, is in context.
Right.
That's what this ultimately comes down to. If it didn't have the context and you were just you were still given the freedom like in GTA, that would be a different story. But unfortunately, that's not the case with Hatred. Hatred is literally like it could be fucking pixelated style. It doesn't matter. The context is what gets that rating,
That's true.
and I'm absolutely okay with that rating. I think that rating is fine for a game like Hatred. You know, like, do you think playing Postal is fun? Do you think going around and killing innocent people simply because you can is fun? Is that why you play GTA?
Well, to play devil's advocate, here's something that I've heard, at least from the other side, is that people, I mean, like, we're at an age where we played a lot of games in our days. Anywhere between Mario to GTA to whatever. And
I've
we
been
can,
playing games since the NES. So,
yeah. And, like, we can depict fantasy from reality.
We're
And
back from our trials and technical issues from this morning. But yeah, we're back and we're going to talk about the rest of the topics that we were talking about this morning. I think
But first,
okay, so there's some crow I gotta eat. So apparently Greg was right in terms of like when the whole rumor about Microsoft buying out the IP from Konami of Silent Hills. Well, it turns out that rumor was squashed later on today, or early on today, and Microsoft is not doing so. So Craig was right. I was wrong. I was hoping I was wrong. I mean, I was hoping I was right, but Greg was right. So, Greg, you have...
it just smelled of just the largest amounts of bullshit. And I was just like, this doesn't... I don't know, it just sounds not right. And then, like, it was like shortly after we had to deal with all those troubles, and then went right into, like, it was almost immediately. Like, I think I went outside dealing with the yard sale, and my phone kind of buzzed, and I was like, the hell? And I see it's a Facebook notification, and it was from Mission Start. Because Derek put it up, because our social media guy put it up, and I was like, oh, hey, Robin, or hey, not Robin, hey, Anthony, look. How's that taste?
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, God damn it. So, yeah, that happened.
All over my skin.
So then, for those who don't know, earlier this morning we also talked about the hatred controversy, which I believe is, I think, the first topic we talked about, and it should be still salvage. For those who don't know, like in a brief synopsis, Hatred was a game that was released recently, and it was a game that many people deemed it very controversial because like it was a game about a serial killer going around the city killing people, innocent people, and then objected to destroy the city one way or another. And the reason why this was brought up is because the various news game outlets have deemed this as a game that is putting back the game industry, that even got Twitch to ban the game, or essentially saying banning any adult-only games on their service to not be streamed. But that's a quick synopsis of what we talked about this morning. You can check that out in our archives, or you can check it out on our video that we'll soon have up soonish. I think Monday, probably.
Well, the worst part about that situation was I didn't quite get to make my final point that I wanted to make.
Right.
Which, if you don't mind, I'd like to make it real quick.
Go for it.
Okay. So we go see movies that have some taboo subjects.
Mm-hmm.
Why is my... Hang on.
You can continue. I got the B-roll. I got the B-roll footage.
The camera zoomed in again. I don't understand. Anyway.
Yeah.
When we go see movies, we always see movies with taboo subjects, things that maybe aren't like normal things that people see, like situations that people aren't happy with usually. And I'm all for that in gaming, in the sense of like it being art. Why is my camera just so wonky? All right. Like I'm totally for the idea that, you know, Trevor is a guy who is an asshole and he's a meth head and He'll kill people just for fun. Like he is the chaos of the three characters. But with GTA and with like Mortal Kombat, they are gruesome, and that's absolutely a fact. They are nasty. But in the context of what hatred is, it's not a game. Sure, you control a character and you get points for just killing random people, but it's not. There's no art behind it. It's literally just a murder simulator. And I hate to use that terminology because we hear that from people who basically hate gaming, who consider GTA and Mortal Kombat to be games like hatred.
Yeah.
And I think that it getting the AO rating is perfectly acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
I see nothing wrong with it. I do feel, though, however, sex in a video game should not warrant an AO rating.
Agreed.
That is unnecessary, or at least sex in the terms of, like, the hot coffee mod, you know? Like, that kind of stuff it's not necessary to give that an AO rating, because we see that shit in movies. Like, sure, we're not controlling the person having sex, but, I mean, what difference does that make? At the end of the day, what difference does that make?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of amazing that, like, we live in a world where... I'll give you this example. There's a comic book that's out by Mark Millar, I believe. I could be wrong. I could be incorrect about that. But it's called, not Superior, it's called, damn it, I have the issues. I own them. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on them. But the idea is, what if Bruce Wayne was as insane as the Joker?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It's really good. I like that.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie or comic. I mean, like, but that's the thing, is that he has all these gadgets. He has just a crap ton of money, and he goes from city to city, killing off cops, just being utterly chaotic. And if there was a game based on that, I'd be upset that it has an AO rating, simply because there's a context to what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a legit reason for these things happening. In hatred, there's not.
Yeah, it's all about context, and I think that's something that I think is important to kind of talk to people about the game in terms of why people are against it. Because I was watching it, and the game itself is not gory enough to where I think that, you know, it justified the AO rating. The AO rating was justified in the sense that of the context of what exactly the character is, what they're doing. The only other thing I would say, and it's something I talked about this morning, and it's something I thought of that people would see on the other side, is like, I mean, you discuss about movies, and there have been some movies where it is about, you know, said character or said main character of a story who does go out and kill people, and people were not up in arms about it when, you know, said movie comes out, but it was just more of a, you know, hey, here's something that is the story of a character, and this is how this person became who he was to beginning to end, and it's all context, because at least with characters in movies, we understand why that person became that person to be in a really screwed up way. And
right.
in this, there's no context how he became this way. Like, there's...
Right, it's like you watch American Psycho and you know exactly why he's being a psycho. You know, it's that has everything to do with the story. Just going around and killing people cause, like, doesn't... Why? What's the point in that? What's the purpose in that? I mean, I like to meet the person who plays Call of Duty and just goes around killing people.
Right.
I mean, I take that back. I wouldn't want to meet that person. 'Cause that person's just an asshole. Like,
right.
it's dumbfounding to me that people are arguing this AO rating. I'm like, no, it does. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve to be made, because, you know, this is someone's hard work. even though it's bullshit.
Right.
It's just that to argue its AO rating is basically to say, like, I'm okay with anything, and that's not the case. Because if you're okay with it, I'd like to see you sit down and play Hatred and say that it's a fun game.
That is true.
And not feel bad about doing the things you're doing in it.
Yeah.
I know they're digital characters, but even people who played Modern Warfare 2, I think it was 2, who had to do the airport section.
That I remember that. Yeah, that caused a lot of controversy as well. I totally remember about that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people that I talked to who played that were like immediately like, no, I didn't shoot anybody. I either shot above their heads or I didn't shoot at all. And I was like, oh, interesting. And the reason it was interesting was because I've legitimately never met somebody who was just like, fuck all these people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sure, they're just digital sprites on the screen. They're not anything more than that. They're nothing more than numbers and code.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the context of what's going on
Right.
that makes it okay or not.
Right.
Context is everything.
It definitely is, and I think we're still evolving. I think we're still learning like what is okay and what is not okay within the game industry. I think the game industry is still kind of figuring things out in terms of like what we can show and what we can't show. So I do agree though. This is one of those times where I think universally where this game is.
Well, games like Hatred also don't help us. You know, they hurt the gaming community more than anything because the people who are trying to understand it and growing into it and understanding that it is a viable source of not only entertainment but art at the same time might see Hatred or a trailer for Hatred and just go, this is what games are, this is what we're playing, like, and that becomes a really negative thing in the long run.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean we can discuss this all day long, but basically, it's a game that majority of the gaming outlets do not like, and even Twitch had banned it on its service for the sake of what it is.
I sure will say it. Good. Good riddance to that game. Ugh.
So going on the lighter side, so as we draw closer and closer to E3, there are certain things that leak out, or there are certain things that are hinted at in terms of like what's coming up pretty soon as an announcement. One of which, Square Enix to announce several games at E3, planning more IP reboots and collaborations. There's no details about this, but there is some evidence and notes in terms of like this game of Square Enix having something ready to announce, and my inkling is that it's going to be something Final Fantasy of some sort, because Final Fantasy. I think there. Do you think it's time for them to show off something out of Kingdom Hearts 3?
They might. I think that it's time to at least show something. Maybe just a pre-rendered, visual, like, Sora, like, because what we got last time was basically like, this is what the game could look like. It wasn't an actual build of the game, and also it took place in Traverse, which is from number 2.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a place we haven't already been. So maybe just like, because I don't think there'll be a release date. I really don't. They've said a long time ago that the game is a long way out, but something to wet our whistles would be nice. Will they? I doubt it.
Yeah.
They could surprise us. They could completely like turn a 180 and be like, this whole conference is about. I can't think of the name of it. Blah blah. And everyone could lose their goddamn minds, which would be great. But I'm sure that the Square Enix thing will be about Rise of the Tomb Raider. Will be about whatever Final Fantasy thing they got coming out next. Possibly, maybe, doubtful, a number 7 remake,
Yeah. The other thing I was
Master or whatever.
the thing I'm gonna bring up is the other IP to talk about because they released they announced this game about a month or two ago. Was more details on the sequel to Deus Ex. So that's the game.
Does Square Enix make that?
That is Square Enix, yes.
Oh wow, I was unaware of that.
Yeah, or they published it, but it's under the umbrella.
Right, they would have it in that conference. It's actually really interesting that a lot of these third-party publishers are doing conferences now because, you know, like Square Enix and Bethesda, they're Ubisoft, they're third-party publishers. So, like, what they end up showing at their conference isn't always going to be shown at everybody else's. But sometimes, like as we saw last year, Sony gets shown Destiny at theirs, and like Destiny's not a good example.
Right.
There was a Ubisoft game shown at one of the two's press conference, and it was a big old thing. Like I remember seeing it, and I was like, and then they showed it at their own press conference later, again, and everyone's just kind of like, we saw this already at the Microsoft one. Thanks, though.
Right.
I don't know.
So, real quickly from the chat, our own social media guy, Common Writer. So he further says pretty much going to be one of these. He's talking about the IPs that could potentially show up during Square Enix press conference. Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger. I think that'd be far left, but it'd be kind of cool.
It's a long shot. I don't say there's an impossibility, but it's definitely a long shot.
That or the Secret of Mana series. So, which I
honestly see Secret of Mana before Chrono Trigger. The Chrono series.
Yeah, I do too.
At least a Mana that's on DS or 3DS, I should say.
I could see that happening. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. I mean, that would make sense in certain terms because that series has always kind of been, like, in its infancy to be on mobile, or not mobile, but handheld.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think a new Secret of Mana, or just a new Mana game, handheld would be amazing. But you know, we'll see.
Agreed. The other topic I want to talk about today is that, the mighty have fallen. Capcom has released the PS4 version of Street Fighter 4. Ultra Street Fighter 4. Let me correct that. And the game came out this past week, I believe. This past Tuesday, I believe, or whatnot. And the game came out, and boy, there are so many glitches. And we're talking just not like your usual glitches you find in the game that doesn't hurt the gameplay. This hurts the gameplay.
Yeah, I saw a GIF of one where it was like somebody was playing the purple girl. I have no idea what her name is. Yeah, okay. And she was like, she couldn't kick whoever she was fighting because the brains kept jumping around.
Yes, I actually had the video on right now, actually, on stream. So for those who are looking on stream, what the hell is it looking at? So basically, there are a lot of glitches in the game. There are issues where there's like invisible sonic booms from Guile that he somehow can do. A minute ago, we showed off the jury glitch where like she's like doing her spin kick in the corner, but as she walks away, like there's two of her. This one I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, that's a massive frame glitch.
Oh yeah, definitely. There are definitely a lot of issues with this port, and Capcom was not the ones who were working on this port. It was a third party, and I can't remember exactly who the company was. But essentially, this third party company had a track record. The last game they tried to put out that was a port was also bad. So I'm not sure if Sony knew or they're trying to cut corners and save money, but yeah, like they messed up hard, and it got to the point where like because Capcom was relying on the PS4 version to be the main console to go to for competitive play for this year, and the game came out and it was the glitches are just everywhere and it's horrible. So recently, as of today, they announced that their ongoing tournaments for the beginning of today to the end of the year until these fixes are made are going to be played on 360 because of how bad it is. So yeah, it is horrible. But yeah, this is one of those instances where I think that I know Capcom is kind of pushing for money, but at the same time, I feel like if you're going to present a port of a game that is on the way out, have at least the decency to make sure it works.
Yeah, that's I don't know, that it seems like something that is a very easy thing to not oversee, but here we are.
Yeah, and it's another case where, again, we have these next gen consoles, but yet we still have these games who are half done or have glitches to them. It's just another game added to the list.
Well, I was reading recently in a I don't remember where I was reading. It was some kind of economy website. Couldn't say the word economy for some reason. That a lot of companies and developers are actually losing money on franchises that were released too early.
Mm-hmm.
Because people were just pre-ordering and not... Like, they're basically telling the industry, hey, I already got your game. You can finish it whenever you want. You can release it early. We don't fucking care because you already have our money. Essentially what we're telling them. And the way that you should be pre-ordering is a month or so before it comes out. Like, honestly, if the game... Like, you should be pre-ordering it when it goes gold.
Yeah, and
Not
even
beforehand.
And even then, like, you still hear games where they're like, you know, games are gold, and what was it? Games are gold, and they'll still have fixes they gotta do. But yeah, it's something that they really should look into and fix. And for those who can't see it, somebody's in Greg's room messing around.
Is my camera on?
No, you're not. You're good.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now it's on. Weird. Yeah, this is my brother, guys.
He can't see you.
They
Okay.
could hear you. Oh, well, now they can hear me.
Oh.
What, Josh?
Your breath is kicking.
I haven't brushed my teeth today. Really, don't touch the Xbox. I'd rather not the podcast be cut short because of another
How's
technical issue.
internet land? What are you guys talking about? Mad
We were
Max?
just talking about how Sony released this port of Street Fighter 4, Super Ultra Street Fighter 4 or whatever, and it's got like massive glitches in it that are game breaking.
Are they fun glitches though? I mean,
No.
No.
glitches to make the game fun.
No, they're not
Nah.
fun at all.
Because really, who cares about a glitch as long as it's fun?
Right.
I agree, but this is not a fun glitch. Like it
What
stops
language
the
is that?
match.
Yeah.
Portuguese?
I have no idea.
Because it's kind of Spanish, but not really.
Yeah. The game.
But yeah,
So
so
what's, I'm not seeing what's the is his face.
no. Like if the video shows again. Okay, here's a good glitch. So this is Jury, maybe no.
Yeah.
Say with an L. Jelly.
All right, Josh. If it shows it again, there's like frame glitches where you can't play the match. Like the match just won't end if you have it like infinite. You just have to quit out.
Yeah. It's
So you're basically saying to the game like, I can't die, and the game's like, doesn't know how to compute that.
Right.
So it's not a game-breaking glitch. You're just an idiot and putting in a glitch that breaks the game.
No, it's literally they're just playing the game as they normally would. The glitch happens and the match cannot be finished.
yeah.
This is nonsense.
I know.
That's game breaking. Game breaking is literally the game breaks and I can't play it anymore.
So the glitch is programmed in there, or someone hacked it? And
No, it's just that when they made the port from the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One to the PS4, the company that did the port did a terrible job.
All right, let's talk about Mad Max.
We can't because it's a gaming
Let's
podcast.
talk about Mad Max, the video game.
That's not one of the subjects. We're talking
Is it gonna be disappointing?
You are crashing the podcast. It is hilarious, but you're crashing the
But
podcast.
is the Mad Max game gonna be any good because like, so in the trailer, right, we see War Boys. Like, doesn't Furiosa own the War Boys now after the movie?
the trailer?
Yeah, in the trailer for Mad Max.
I didn't think anything of it past the fact that it was a.
Hey, Greg, can you hear me?
He can not hear you.
Okay.
What do you say, Nathan?
Okay, so let me say this about Mad Max, real quick. Mad Max, the video game. Yeah, you put them on him. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm putting the headphones.
So
Internet.
quickly, real quickly about Mad Max. Mad Max, the video game, it has been put on a day where, of all days, they picked the day that is not the best day for them, and the reason why is because the next Metal Gear Solid game comes out on that very same day, and that Mad Max is going to get obliterated.
By Metal Gear Solid?
Yes.
Oh, you're out of your mind. First of all, Konami.
Oh, how much? Oh, hang on. How much do you want to put down money? I am down to put down so much money on this.
I'll put down some Bitcoin, but like I'm not gonna bet money. But like, here's the thing that I'm like blowing out the speaker.
No, you're fine. No, go for it. Go for it.
About Metal Gear, the franchise that is Metal Gear. Like first and foremost, like the last Metal Gear game that came out on the PS4, I believe, that was also ported over to the One, like hardly sold anything. In fact, it sold so little that Kojima and Konami had a falling out. So like that's a thing. Like that's a thing that exists in land of things that are reality. Then you have the Mad Max game that who cares what day it's going to come out on? It couldn't beat Pitch Perfect 2 at the box office, yet it's a far superior film than Pitch Perfect. So I don't think, or nor do I care that it's going up against Metal Gear, what is it, 13 now? Like I don't really care about that. That doesn't bother me. What's going to bother me is the fact that it's an IP that not enough people respect and not enough people are going to get in the first place. Are you valid in your opinion that Metal Gear fanboys will buy that over a Mad Max title?
Exactly.
Sure, but they're Metal Gear fanboys. Of course, they were always going to do that.
My thing about Metal Gear, and I don't know if you can hear me, Anthony. My thing about
I can hear you.
Okay. My thing about Metal Gear that drives me nuts is that the story is so fucking convoluted that if I were to go in now with Metal Gear 5, not having
Let's go
played
back.
3 or 4, I would be completely lost.
If you want to talk Metal Gear, let's talk Metal Gear, because I'm a huge fan of Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid. I think that those two games from the NES title, which was incredibly difficult for its time and I really think underappreciated, and then Metal Gear Solid, which completely exploited the PlayStation 1's graphics card that just was like basically it was like a porn director with a girl who's never done porn before, and they're like, no, if you twist your legs like this and show your cooter in this manner, like you're totally going to make more money, but really you're just exploiting her. So it's the same thing with Metal Gear Solid, and I think with the graphics card anyway, even though there is some booby cheats you can put in there. Mm-hmm. But I think that those two games are superior. And then when you get to Metal Gear Solid 2 and so on and so forth, till you get to Metal Gear Solid Snakes in Retirement Home, it's one of those things where the game is played out and they've betrayed you a couple of times. The creators of the game have betrayed you a couple of times, not the characters in the game. How are you going to have 15 minutes of gameplay at the very start of Metal Gear Solid 2 when all Snake gets to do is play with a dart gun, and then suddenly you're running around as half-naked Raiden with a sword? On Metal Gear Solid 2, yes.
Yeah.
You go around the dart gun, you go around...
In the very first mission, you're on a boat, and it's non-lethal. You're only allowed to stun people. Anthony, back me up on this.
No, I agree. Like,
I don't remember anything past...
It's not...
Yeah.
Bottom line... Right, everyone hated that game, except for Metal Gear Solid fanboys who said it was the second coming of Christ. But it's not. Like, the problem with Metal Gear is that there's so many in-jokes. Like, the very first time you played Metal Gear on PS3, one of the jokes was like, Snake, you gotta change discs. Wait, no you don't. And it was a Blu-ray joke. It was Sony stroking their own cock saying, we made Blu-ray and we can put 60 gigs of info on there.
First off, that remake was also on the GameCube first.
Right,
it was.
which they did the same thing with Resident Evil, and look how great that did.
Which one are you talking about? Because the recent one's pretty good.
He's talking about the reboot of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Snakes, I know what I'm talking about.
Twin Snakes.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad report. I was going to say about Resident Evil, like the recent Resident Evil remake was actually not that bad. It sold a crap ton of copies recently, and actually. Speaking
Recently,
of
it sold a crap ton of copies.
oh yeah, the latest one, it sold a crap ton. It's so much that actually recently they actually announced that Resident Evil 0 is getting a remastered version. So it's definitely it's the funny thing about it is like it's one either Capcom is saying it's like, hey, people like remakes, or hey, people really want a better Resident Evil, because for all I know, Resident Evil 6 was the most crappiest Resident Evil game I've ever laid eyes on.
Five was way worse than 6.
Yeah, 5 was alright.
5
Yeah.
had the Natalia from 007 GoldenEye AI.
Resident Evil 5?
5, yeah, Chris Redfield
Five
and
is
what's
way better than 6. Have you played 6?
No. I think 5 was worse than 6. I think
No.
six had some- okay, listen. This is a video game show. We all can't just yell at each other.
Okay, alright.
I wasn't talking over you.
I think 6 had some issues with gameplay mechanics, which when you're talking about like ultimately like what makes a video game, like it has to be you have to play a video game in order to experience a video game. But if you aren't able to play it, then you can't really experience it. But I think with some of the flaws that Resident Evil 6 brought with gameplay, I think they made up for it in just over-the-top video game-ness in general. They sort of blurred that line between the Resident Evil film franchise and the Resident Evil video game franchise, where they went, you know what, screw it. Albert Wesker is going to be crazy, and he's going to be on steroids, and he's going to become a scorpion.
How much of 6 have you played?
I've played none of 6, and only because I couldn't get my hands on a copy. Every time I tried to go get it or rent it through GameFly, it was always unavailable.
Okay, so I played through 6 because I was reviewing it for...
Sure, so you played it.
Right.
Whatever the reason
There's
is.
3 campaigns.
3 campaigns. Sorry, go ahead.
There's 3 campaigns. There's the Leon and the girl that's with him, and that's very like... They attempt to have it...
She's the president's daughter. That storyline is very much...
No, not 6.
Resident Evil 4.
We're not talking about 4.
I thought you just said 4.
No. In Resident Evil 6, there's 3
Oh.
storylines.
Okay.
The first storyline is Leon and this girl. Watch out.
I'm just trying to stand up. His knee hurts.
And that campaign is actually the best because it's the most Resident Evil campaign. And then there's Chris Redfield and his partner, and they're very militaristic.
Chris Redfield and his partner, you mean Larry Burton? Barton?
No.
Oh.
It's some random dude. I don't remember his name. And that's super like fucking. It becomes Gears of War with zombies. No joke.
But Gears of War had that.
Right?
Oh shit. And it looks like yeah, apparently something happened. So yeah, that was a thing that just happened a minute ago. So anyways, hopefully I can get him back on. Let's see. Oh man, this is getting entertaining. So let's see. Anyways, yeah, so that's kind of an in-depth discussion in terms of like, you know, Resident Evil. Kind of stated in the Resident Evil 0 HD remaster was announced from Capcom, and again it shows like either people really enjoyed the game and really want a remastered version, or they want something else, and it's like it's not going through. Anyways, all right, well I'll take over until he comes back. Just to go more in depth with the Resident Evil thing, is that Resident Evil 0 remastered, it's cool. I'm excited for it. I think that it has been done before, but having it God, I'm going from my words again. But having a remastered version of this game is pretty cool. I like it. I think that with the success of the last remastered game, I think that this bodes well for Capcom. Hopefully it just makes them more money, or just the same amount as last remastered version. But I'll be down for this. Definitely. I want to see what exactly they're going to do in terms of like what this new remake's going to be. So, but yeah, that's pretty awesome. Let's see. So, I think I got one more thing I want to talk about before we end the show. Because because if you haven't noticed earlier this morning that we had our morning show, and there were some issues that technical issues that happened. So, anyways, so the last remaining thing is, and let's see if I can get Greg back in here. Let me just see if he's there. So, the last thing... Okay, he's there. So, the last thing I'll bring up is... Are you live there?
Yeah, I got it on my laptop now, so there might be a, Alright, camera. Come on.
Alright. Cool. Hang on, let me just make sure that you're visible. Hey, Luke is back. Great. Oh, wow. It turned off.
Yeah, because I'm only seeing black over here on my side. Can you see it now?
Now... Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, Josh went to get up, and my Xbox is really close to the stand that I have it on.
Yeah.
It's like, hit the power button, because this whole thing is all touch. Jerry rig, zip ties, and duct tape.
Yeah, it seems like it.
What I was going to say about Resident Evil 3. 6. The third campaign is you play as Rebecca Chambers and Jake fucking Wesker's son. Spoiler alert.
Yep. Spoilers.
Yeah, superpowers, essentially. Yeah. I remember that. So the third campaign is a superpowered adventure. And it's dumb because you want Rebecca's.
But really, I mean, if you
shut her fucking mouth.
But if you look at the Resident Evil franchise's films too, that's not really that different from what they're doing in the movies. I mean, you gotta look at it from this viewpoint, right? Like Sony owns the film rights to Resident Evil, and Sony has more money than Capcom. So if the guy with more money comes along and says, "Hey, I need you to do this in this franchise," you with less money, who's hoping for more money, will do what they say.
Yeah.
I understand your point. However, Resident Evil 6 was on the Xbox 360 as well. It wasn't just on Sony.
I think I didn't play 6 because I think I read a review about the controls would drive you crazy or something like that.
And they were awful.
Yeah.
The cover bases were terrible. There were a lot of problems with that game.
That's right. It took the like gun con concept of the cover system and try to implement it into like third-person control.
Right.
I remember something very, very briefly.
Yeah, and that was a huge issue with it. Other than the fact that the story was just garbage.
Well, what do the fans think? Are they on the chat right now? Are they?
I can tell you right now, the fans who played the game do not like Resident Evil 6. They kind of disemboweled that it ever existed.
like 5 is technically a better story than 6.
Yeah.
I think that when you look at a franchise, not everything is gonna hit. You know, it's like
I agree.
We all like Back to the Future, the trilogy, but we don't like Back to the Future 3 as much as we like Back to the Future or Back to the Future 2.
Correct.
Like we all like Indiana Jones, but we don't like the one with Shia LaBeouf. But it sure as hell made Temple of Doom look better. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that was going to happen? Where you were like, you know what? I actually like Temple of Doom now. I mean, Temple of Doom's a good movie.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is like, well, you were sitting there saying that from your perspective, 6 was better than 5. And I'm trying to say, like, they decreased the quality.
I was excited to argue. I can't really argue for or against the thing that I didn't have any experience in playing. Because I know, like, I'm going to get eaten alive by your fans at some point. But let me just state this. I played Resident Evil 0 through 5. And I played all the different iterations. Because I think I was one of the few Americans who got to play a Japanese version of Resident Evil 0 on the Nintendo 64. And then I got to play which we weren't calling them remasters back then, re-release or something, when it got re-released on the GameCube, which I thought it was better. But then I also I still own it. Like I don't have a GameCube, but I have that game. I have those games rather. I have all the remasters and the originals. Like for me, Resident Evil will never be better than 1, 2, and 3. Like that's where Resident Evil lives for me. It lives in that trilogy that it just Raccoon City is what you love. Like when Capcom and the franchise tried to go back to what?
Got trolls in the chat.
Oh, what's up, trolls? I'm just gonna say, you know what? I'm not gonna pay your fees. You can riddle at me all you want, troll. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not.
No, they're making a joke that Anthony spelled silent wrong in the description.
Oh. Oh, did I misspell it?
Really, yeah.
All right, let's go back. What are we talking about?
Okay, so.
No, I'm just kidding. Just move on. Bottom line is,
What's the next topic?
All right, so actually, we discussed a little bit. Like the next topic was that Resident Evil 0, the remastered version, was announced. That wasn't, which is funny because we just discussed that like a minute ago, which I tied it in perfectly. But the last topic, yeah, thank you. So then actually, I have one more topic before we end the show. So the last topic of the day actually is that EA's new Need for Speed game will require an internet connection to play. And quote,
it's the destiny of race car games.
yeah, very well put. The quote, the reboot will have a proper single-player mode, the publisher said, but it will also require an internet connection to play. And this is going back, kind of tied to previous games that require an internet connection to play. We're talking about SimCity, Diablo 3 when it first came out, and most of
You added SimCity for being internet only.
yes. People want a physical disc. We're moving in a generation where we used to have physical disc and physical media we can put in our game consoles and still have, and now we're moving.
I were having this conversation a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Years ago, but we've had that conversation a lot where a lot of people out there want the physical, like they want to hold a thing in their hand when they buy it.
I do too. I don't like to buy stuff and not have a thing because I like when I go to a retail store to buy something, I want to pick the product up and put it in my cart and then have the 5 minutes of in the checkout stand debating if I really want to spend the money on this thing. And then I want that buyer's remorse the minute I walk out of the door too. Like for me, that's a whole shopping experience. Like I want your shitty customer service. I want to spend that money and then regret buying it, and then ultimately enjoy the product or don't enjoy it, depending on what it is.
Agreed. And there's something I still hold. No, I know I agree. Since I still am one of those people who still like physical media. Like you can see behind me on my camera, I still have like video games. Okay, well. Okay, that's cool. No, the people on the stream chat can, but I'm just pointing to the physical media behind me, which is just all the video games I have right now. Right. And I'm still one of those people who still wish to have that. But we're moving into the age where everything video game wise is going to digital. It's just it's a much easier thing to get.
It's film. I mean, it's done the same
Time out for
thing.
1 second.
Okay.
Are you really gonna sit there and argue the fact that my toys and posters are digital?
No, I was making a joke and we're pointing to physical media.
That's barely talking about it in
Yes,
entertainment.
that's the joke. Yes, obviously, a Ninja Turtles poster, Achievement Hunter poster, or whatever, is obviously a joke. Okay, but let's spell it out for the trolls. How the trolls do? What up, trolls? Stop.
Actually, I told one of them he's a piece of shit, so I probably left.
I want to talk to you.
Once I called him out, he took off.
Look, here's the bottom line, right? Like you, as the consumer, have to make a choice. Do you want easy, accessible content on demand? It's there when you want it, or do you want it to be somewhat inconvenienced by having to travel to a place that may or may not have it in stock, and that you're gonna have to deal with people?
This is exactly why I say that the reason games are going digital, the reason music and movies are going digital,
Music
in
and
that
movies
regard,
are.
well, going more so, like the physical stuff is legal,
Sure.
is because we've already hit that point where on demand is such a huge thing. With YouTube and Twitch becoming so viable ways for people to make a living.
There's a reason why people who buy the PlayStations and the Xboxes and the Wii's end up using, like there was Anthony could probably find it. but there was a graph that came out. I think Xbox released this graph that said that something like 56% of their owners play video games like not that often. Basically, it's just used as a Netflix machine or some other content, some other content machine. And so it's
We're talking about Netflix and Hulu Plus.
yeah, and and so that's the other thing too is now like I was having a conversation with a buddy the other day about. He says, yeah, I bought the Blu-ray, but there's not that much on it. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, there's a couple of outtakes, and there's like one director's commentary, but other than that, what's the point of buying Blu-ray? And my response was, video quality, video and sound.
Yeah.
That's what you're buying it for. He's like, yeah, but I can get a 5.1 or a 7.1 mix streaming Netflix, and then I don't have to spend $60 on it. I pay $8 a month.
Right.
And my response to that was, well, then pay $8 a month. Because what you're seeing now is Blu-ray and DVD, especially DVD, are being phased out by the digital media, by the fact that on-demand, this new verb that we have, this new noun, can replace that very easily. It's also one of the reasons why, like, Redbox does well, is because you're allowed to pay a minimal fee, a minimal dollar amount, and get the thing that you want, and then give it right back. And it's also the same reason why brick and mortar movie stores and video game stores have gone out of business.
So you want to hear something that I read about the other day that I thought was really interesting, and this kind of ties into what we're talking about. I'm just going to anyway. It was just a preference. It was my attempt at segue. So you know how you're kind of talking about how with everything being on demand, like now, we live in a society where patience has kind of gone to the wayside.
We've been in that society for more than a decade.
Sure. Do you know why and where it stems from?
YouTube?
Taking a shit.
Taking a shit with your phone. Yeah.
Not even that.
You've said this to me before already.
Because here's the thing. When we were surviving, literally, and we had to, walk hella far, take a shit next to a tree, our senses had to be heightened because that's our most vulnerable.
Right, you're squatting there. Right.
Yeah. So
am I gonna get eaten while I'm squeezing this turd out?
Right. As our society has grown higher.
Can we stop for a second and just take a moment of silence while the caveman who died while taking a shit?
Well, now that we have fucking poop thrown.
It's such a bad thing, and we shit wrong too. As humans now, we shit incorrectly.
It's more comfortable on our
It's not. You're actually hurting the muscles.
So you're hurting everything else, but it's more comfortable on the bones.
They're like, yeah, studies have shown that like men in their 80s just shit their pants for no reason. It's because you shit wrong your whole life, and those muscles at 80, those muscles are just like, we quit.
But the point I'm making is that when we finally made like toilet fortresses where no one can get to us while we're taking a shit, we've had to find a way to satiate that
Welcome
part
to
of our
Fortress Porcelain.
Our need to always have that in a heightened sense of like what's going on around us. So
it's ingrained in our
newspapers, magazines, like it's been going on for years.
Uncle John's toilet bowl reader.
Yeah.
That big ass book. Someone has that book. It was in my house for a while.
It's just now evolved to me dropping a deuce and playing Hearthstone.
Right, which is gross because you put that phone next to your head and then like you touch your butthole with toilet paper and then you go and touch your phone. And most people don't wash their fucking hands, which is gross.
No, it's play on my phone, put my phone down, wipe my ass.
But what about all this, and also like to take that concept of like shitting with your phone one step further, like smartphones have changed masturbation across the board. It's not the same. I need an illuminated screen lighting my face up while people are bumping up at me. That's what gets me off. I can just turn on YouTube and be like, what is this? Is monkey wrench?
What we're getting at is our society, because we've had to satiate that need to have the constant stimulation. I can't say the word. To have the constant stimulation. Have the constant stimulation while we take a crap has evolved into basically our lives like we can't do anything now without some kind of entertainment stimulation.
Yeah, there was a study that came out this week or last week that said that like 26% of married couples will put off sex or straight up not have sex because they're too busy checking their phones.
Yeah.
6% of married couples. And then alongside that, another study that came out that said like married couples who have sex 4 to 5 times a week have a happier marriage. Well, yeah, you're fucking all the time. Like, I'm sorry, like, you're not getting anything done. Like, your house is filthy, you're not paying your bills, and you're just fucking all the time. Like, of course you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
But
They say the money
to
makes
go
the
back,
man,
to
so.
get back on topic with what Anthony was saying, with video games and movies and music just being readily available, I remember when the rumor got thrown out that the Xbox One was going to have no disc drive because they didn't want to pay the royalty to Sony for the Blu-ray, and it was going to be everything was going to ship with a terabyte hard drive, and it was going to be a $500 console. And it was going to be the size of a fucking Roku, and everyone was like wigging out because they wanted their physical media.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft and Sony and maybe Nintendo have just sort of forced the digital landscape on us anyway, and it seems to be the preferred medium in which to have it. I remember when GTA 5 dropped on the 360 and the PS3, you could get it 24 hours in advance if you pre-ordered it digitally on the PS3, and you could just queue it up, and it downloaded 95%, and then when it went live, it just did this little 5% thing.
Well, yeah, what they do on Steam and
Right,
PS1 and PS3 now.
I have Elder Scrolls Online 95% at the moment,
Yeah.
and I'm
Right.
5% to kick it.
It's actually nowadays it's actually 100%, but there's a lock on it essentially.
Right, it's a DRM lock.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What I will say though, kind of to close this entire point and just kind of this topic, is that a lot of everything you guys are saying are correct. A lot of I think that what we're going through in terms of like the transformation of the physical media to traditional media is correct, and I think that we evolve, it's going to go further in that direction. PC, I think, was the first to actually do this with Steam in terms of having games that are physical transform into digital, and for Steam and for Valve, like they've made they made a crap ton of money because of it. But I think that, kind of going back to the initial news report about having Need for Speed and only online thing, it's just another indication as far as like the direction we're going towards. It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to hear that we're kind of disregarding the physical media, but it's kind of the way of the future as far as what it's bound to happen.
It's like when when you live in a city that's older than a couple of 100 years, and someone says we're going to tear down this building. You have a group of people that are loud and say, we don't want this building torn down. Let's restore it. Let's make it usable again. But really, you're just putting a Band-Aid on an open wound. Like at some point, you gotta get rid of the wound.
Yeah, like Bel Air over here, that's like right down the street from our house, was going like a few years ago like they just weren't getting any business. Like they were hemorrhaging money.
Yeah, there's too many other competitors.
And so they had to close that one down, and they had one that was open just literally a mile down the road. And there was protesters out front, like saying, "Don't close it down. It's a staple in our city," and blah blah blah. It's like, are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding? Do you have any clue what the company is going through right now? What they're trying to deal with? And you're gonna sit there and protest because of your nostalgia?
Well, nostalgia is a very powerful thing. I mean, to try and make this podcast a full circle thing.
Show your nostalgia is what I say.
Right. Well, you've always said that. But to make this podcast, I'm bringing it up. We're talking about the third HD remake for a video game that's been out for over almost 20 years now. How long has Zero been out?
Zero what?
Resident Evil 0, and it's getting its third.
Yeah.
So nostalgia is a very powerful thing. So when you talk to video gamers, like especially video gamers, hold on, I'll get to it. Video gamers our age, like what's the thing that we remember most is blowing into a cartridge and like putting it in there and like having it have to like jiggle a little bit and hit the reset button a couple of times and then press power and hopefully.
But why is that cooler?
It's not. It's not. But it's because, oh my god, if I was 8 and all I had to do was go boop and I got everything I wanted, like, I would be some prick kid like these kids are now.
I disagree.
I was just at a baseball game for youth, and every kid there was like, not hey, what is that on your face? Hey, is that a mustache? What it was? What's wrong with your face? Right? Every kid. That's what media at your fingertips has done. It's closed closed off personal. No, it has. It's closed off personal.
I'm just saying you're blaming it on media, and I don't blame it on media. I blame it on the parents allowing for that sort of entertainment and media to constantly be available.
All right, I'm not going to sit here and Jack Thompson this thing up, but what I am going to say is I think get that close. I think to go around. I think that as much as you can blame a parent for not being an attentive parent, which sure has a lot to do with that, you can also blame the fact that, and I'm not saying blame it in a bad way, but you need to point out that media is so readily available.
You forget the kids, we had media that was readily available all the time. Sure, we had a little with the fucking, sure, but we still got it in there and got to play.
Yeah, but we also had to subscribe to Nintendo Power so we could get some cheat codes for goddamn Return of the Jedi.
Whatever. Point is, we had it not that much different than kids do now. And I remember not being able to die, but you were.
I feel like we had it late. When's the last time you were tethered to your system by a cord? I can walk around the block and I still chat on Xbox. Like,
why does that matter? What does that have to do with it?
When's the last time a cord got kicked out in the middle of a game and everyone's screaming?
What point are you making with that? I got punched in the fucking face because I got mad that the kid across the street accidentally deleted my 96 level run of Super Mario World.
Did he punch you in the face?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. He had the Ninja Turtle toys then.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a prick.
Right. My point is, we are not that different than kids now. We just had it slightly different in terms of how often we got to watch things.
Oh man, I had to walk uphill both ways in the snow. It was a weird climb.
I watched the boys watch fucking Nickelodeon, and I'm like, this shit's garbage. And then I go, but what about all that? All that was no.
All that is terrible.
We watch garbage TV just like
I watch garbage TV now.
As much as I'd love to hear you two continue on this entire discussion, it's time to end the show.
So this is a sizzling scorpion fiery hot sauce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Adjust this camera so we can see. Okay, so I'll set that one there, right? A little bit more. There we go. So that's the first one, right? I'm just right there.
Right.
And then you go over here, and then he has red pepper sauce, right? Right. So Okay, I'm not done yet. And then he's got Lone Wolf Japanona. There we go. So we got that one, right? And then he's got Horned Lizard Spicy Herb Sauce. Okay? And then for the piece of resistance, he's got Blazing Thunder. He's got 5 hot sauces, 6 hot sauces, and a French red for wings. Just chilling over here. How many hot sauces do you need?
Well, first off, it was in a gift, and I just went, well, I might as well have them upstairs for different occasions.
Yes, it's like the Batman utility belt. You know, you gotta just make sure you're ready for any situation. But anyways, let's. I'm gonna end the show tonight. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Thank you guys for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at Defective Naruto. You can follow the work that me and Greg do on our website at MissionStarPodcast.com. Before we go, Greg, where can I find you on the internet?
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch at Juggernaut Geek. You can follow my, well, you already said it, at Mission Start. And I stream every Tuesday and Wednesday right now at Half Empty Energy Bank on Twitch.
Awesome. And then if you enjoy what we talked about today, you can check out the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher for Mission Start Podcast. You can also check out on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. If you enjoy Convention Talk, we actually plan to discuss about Fanime right after the show and have a podcast about it. And we're going to have that up on our iTunes and Stitcher as well as on our website. So definitely go check that out. And then on the last thing, if you enjoy comic books, entertainment, HBO, movies, all that good stuff, please check out Jeremy's show on our website called The Rolling 20s, which you can also find on iTunes and Stitcher. That's going to do it for us. So with that, we'll see you guys next time.